I'll start it. Hi, welcome to another installment of Monkey Mind Relaxation Chatter about the chatter. Today we are not at Men's Radio Station. I have put that little there, a reminder that if you've not tuned into Men's Radio Station, I do a live radio show for men's mental health 3 Thursdays of every week, every month. You're always more than welcome to tune in, but today is about mindset and success. And we have got, and I'm a little bit excited about this, if you don't mind my saying so, not just the fact that you're from Fife, and I love that because I'm always trying to find like-minded people, but a success and mindset coach, which is 100%. I am a mind management coach, and I absolutely am obsessed with mindset. I'm obsessed with managing the mind and how we can create certain things. And I don't want it to just be from my point of view. I wanted to get into the one, the only, Amanda Mcaloon from, for some of our people listeners that'll be listening, Procter and Gallagher. If you had a little bow tie, it would be pulling that little bow tie up. Procter and Gallagher, one of the world's finest coaching of mindset and success. So hi, Amanda, how are you?
I'm amazing, Cuddy. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm excited too. As a new fellow podcaster, it's nice to be on the other side for a change.
Well, that's the thing. When we are in that position, we're the ones that are always saying, "Oh, do this and do this, and this is why we like this." But actually, get interviewed is different. It is different, and I've been on the other side when I get interviewed, and I'm like, I go into it, I'm like, I'm so excited because I want them to throw me a curveball because I want to really push myself, and I'm like, ask me any questions. I'm absolutely ready to go, and I do that. Actually, believe it or not, Amanda, I do lectures for Marissa Peer. Once a month, I do live lectures for Marissa Peer in the UK. And I always get really excited about doing the questions at the end. I'm like, ask me any questions, because I'm ready for you. So this is what you are. You are on the hot spot at this moment in time, Amanda. Are you ready for the questions?
Well, we'll soon find out.
So we don't know each other very well. We had a quick, brief introduction last week. But I'm going to say from my point of view, we absolutely gelled straight away. I was so excited about the conversation. I was like, I don't want to dedicate 25 minutes to this podcast. And that's why, and I'm not saying it's going to go 2 hours long, but I've dedicated 2 hours so that we can talk about Amanda Mcaloon.
To be honest, it's not really, that's nice you're saying, oh, you want to talk about me, but it's more just like, it's what knowledge that I can bring from my story that can then help empower others, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about being able to share the challenges of what you've went through, how you've overcome them. So then the hope that you can relate to somebody that's sitting at home who's maybe feeling stuck or lost or doesn't know that they want more, but has got absolutely no idea how to go about it or what changes they need to make. So that's why I was really excited to come on the podcast, because between the two of us with what we do with mindset, I'm sure it's going to be a really interesting conversation, and I'm sure there'll be definitely some nuggets that we can share between us that we can help your listeners.
Absolutely. So Amanda, tell me, because I want us to go, I'm a big fan of Bob Proctor. Bless him. I know he's just passed away. And how old was he when he passed away?
He was 87 years old.
He did not look a day over 62.
Not at all. And I was very grateful to be in some of his last classes, because literally he was doing his passion, which was teaching all this mindset material to help empower people. He's the #1 guy in human potential and how to help people pull that out of themselves. And he was teaching that right up until basically the week before he passed. So that's why it was such a shock. He had more passion and enthusiasm and energy. See, when he spoke, he had that energy, that passion came through. You would never have known that he was 87. So for a guy who basically had business in every country all over the world, who lived in a healthy body right up until he passed, and then has impacted the world in such a big, massive way right until he was 87, I'm all over that. It's who do you listen to? And you listen to the people who have got what you want and have done what the work to get there, and that's who you follow. And that's one of the reasons I'm super proud to work alongside PGI and be able to facilitate their materials with my clients.
Absolutely. So we're going to go way back. We're going to go way back. I would say for me, it's about when I first heard about it, because we're going to talk about it, because it's not a secret anymore. I would say for me, it is, I was on the ship for 13 years. 15 years ago, I found The Secret. I was working in I've always had pretty good jobs, and I was just talking to a couple of my friends, and I've realized I have actually manifested every part of my life. Looking back now as a 44-year-old guy, I've realized that everything I wanted, I've actually manifested. And that was a powerful realization. However, I wanted to work on cruise ships. And I think when I was about 21 and I was working in Ibiza in a hotel, I was like, I'm going to work on cruise ships. So I started manifesting without realizing it. Before I knew what manifestation was, I started going, right, I want to be on the cruise ship. So I started working in Fuerteventura. And I was a little bit stuck, and I'm like, right, I really want to go on the cruise ships. What do I need to do? And someone said, watch The Secret. And I'm like, what do you mean, watch The Secret? And I watched The Secret, and I was like, oh, this is me. This is everything I want. I did my vision board. But I'll tell you what, when I was absolutely catching myself, knowing that I had to go through the whole day with nothing but positive thoughts, by 9:30 in the morning, I'd go, 6 negative thoughts. Right?
And that's only the ones you were aware of, because there's probably more that you weren't aware of.
Absolutely. However, I got the job on the cruise ship from my vision board. So awesome. I want us to talk Secret.
Okay. Just saying, I used to work on the cruise liners too.
Did you, Amanda? Whereabouts?
In my 20s, Caribbean cruise liners.
Right. I was at Royal Caribbean, bless them. For the sins.
Probably followed your ships then. It was an incredible time. But getting back to The Secret, so The Secret tends to be where a lot of people first get introduced to mindset principles. It wasn't my first one, but Bob Proctor is known as being in The Secret. And I think it done a lot for awareness for people, and put it in really simple terms. However, the part that people kind of miss is that, yep, we can do all this wishful thinking, and it is only wishful thinking unless we're actually putting things into action. Because when we're actually taking the action part, that's the part that brings the goal towards us. It's the one that lets the universe know that we're serious, and it allows, that's the receiving part. We're ready to receive when we believe and we move forward. It's not about sitting on the couch. Like, for instance, if you're trying to attract your soulmate, you're sitting on the couch and you're doing all this meditation and you're doing all this visualization, but you're not actually taking action. It's the action that gels the imagination. And I just want to come back to something that you had said earlier, because like, you realize that all the good things that's happened to you in your life is the product of your manifestation, which is phenomenal. But the part that we maybe don't realize is, like, everything that we don't want in our life is also our manifestation.
Correct.
Because, like, whatever we focus on expands. Do you know? So if we're constantly focusing on lack or focusing on what it is that we're missing in our lives, so whether it is that soulmate, whether it is like the bank account, you know, like getting worried about debt, worried about, like, if we're in constant state of worry, when you understand that thoughts are a vibration,
yep,
and whatever that vibration that you're emitting most of the time is the circumstances and people, all that is going to come into your life, it's going to match that vibration. So it's that being able to A, get awareness of your thoughts, B, being able to retrain your thoughts and get yourself fully focused on what it is that you want. And that takes energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because our mind just goes wherever it likes to go. It thinks habitually. It's running subconscious level, probably about 97% of our day, which serves us, does serve us, because it means we don't need to learn to drive again. We don't have to learn to, like, brush our teeth, all that kind of stuff that we just get up in the morning and just do. But it's recognizing that our thoughts, our beliefs, our behaviors are all in there, and not all of those programs are good.
Absolutely. you are preaching to the choir right now. I am one of the biggest fans of the subconscious mind and how to work with the subconscious mind. And when I'm working with clients, what I always say is, and I think it's a Bob Proctor one, I said, if you can see it in your mind, you can see it in your hand. If you can see it in your mind, you can see it in the hand. So I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, and Zig Ziglar.
Okay.
Massive fan. And Dwyer as well. I'll be honest with you, Dwayne Dyer as well. Massive fan. I love their teachings. I love the way that they coached. And I've gone through all those things. So I know that's why we were resonating when we were talking, because it's about looking at the solutions to the problems. Everybody has problems, we understand that, but once we start looking and focusing on the solutions, you start creating more solutions. And you 100% start bringing those into your life. So I love that. So what got you introduced? I know what got me introduced to it, but what got you introduced into wanting something more out of life? Tell me about you, Amanda, way back in the day.
Okay, so before I do that, because Wayne Dyer is one of mine too, I was fortunate enough to see him as well before he passed. He actually came one and only time to Scotland for a Hay House event, and I got to see him and the lovely Louise L. Hay. If anybody resonates with her, You Can Heal Your Life. Yeah, she's an amazing lady, and I managed to get to see the both of them before they passed too. So very, very grateful for that. And Wayne Dyer, one of his one was, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah.
And for me, like going back in the day, like there was a lot of things in my life that was going right. However, there was also equally a lot of things that was going wrong. And I've had health challenges, and one of the things there's always good in every situation, right? And sometimes we don't really see that, but my health challenges is something that's always made me drive forward for answers, like not taking, like this was it for me for the rest of my life. I was a young girl, wanted so much more for my life, and I had debilitating migraines that basically took me out of the game of lots of social events. Been able to go and do my passion, which is salsa dancing. So I spent a lot of time as a young girl on the couch. So that was one of my drivers that made me like start looking for answers, start to look for alternative solutions, if you were. So that I founded a technique which I absolutely love and still use to this day, even more so actually, is tapping. So I'm a qualified EFT practitioner. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you're aware of it. For our listeners that aren't aware of it, it basically, Gary Craig had found that instead of sticking acupuncture needles in certain acupressure points, that if you tapped, you would actually have the same response, which has been able to take what's negative in your body and turn it into a positive. Mm-hmm. So for instance, I've helped people with fear of flying. I've helped people release like relationship trauma, like all that kind of stuff. And you can use it in any moment. So say, for instance, just now, like sitting, feeling nervous on the podcast, it's like just a little tap will help you. But you can use it for anything and everything. And what I love is it helps you turn what's deep rooted in your subconscious mind. It helps to release that. Because the things that's deep buried in our subconscious mind, we don't even realize that are there sometimes. So anyway, that was the start of my journey. And while I was starting to get some answers and starting to get somewhere, I guess that's where I really started to understand limiting beliefs. So beliefs that are a lot of the time are not true. They're ones that we've made up in our own heads. We pick up beliefs from environment and growing up, from our parents, from social media, everywhere around us. The environment like really kind of shapes who we think we are and how we see the world. And a lot of the time that can be very, very limiting, because it can be something really simple that can happen to us, a child. Because we don't know how to interpret it, we'll maybe take on the belief that I'm not lovable, or I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, like all these like universal big ones that people tend to identify with. So it really highlighted that while because limiting beliefs, they're really sneaky. They think that they're like subconscious mind that thinks it's keeping you safe. But in actual fact, all it's doing is keeping you stuck.
Yep.
So those programs just keep you stuck. So it was a massive, massive enlightening process for me. And it made me hungry for more. Because one of the things I deeply, deeply wanted in my life more than anything, and if anybody had asked me at that time, what is your dream? And a lot of people go, for goodness sake, I got that years ago. But my dream was to have my soulmate, somebody that I could really say, like, we really connected, like we had amazing chemistry, was loyal, a family man, like I can rattle off exactly what it was that I wanted. And I used all the principles of everything that I was learning, because I went on a 6-month mentorship, and it was called The Key to Health, Wealth and Happiness. And it was a law of attraction course. It helps me gain clarity around exactly what I wanted in a relationship, you know, how I wanted to feel. Because when I speak to people about their soulmate with, like in terms of clients, they can get stuck on, oh, I want them to look like this or like that. And it's like, no. Like, let's get rid of the looks. It's all about the essence of the person. Like, how do you want to feel with them? Do you want to feel secure? You want someone who's loyal? You know, it's all about the feeling within the relationship. So anyway, that was my big dream. I've always been a romantic person inside. I had this notion that I wanted to go to Paris with my soulmate, with like I had the opportunity to go to Paris a good couple of times with friends, and I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going. You know, I'm going to Paris with the guy that I'm in love with. We're going to walk hand in hand up and down the Seine. You know, we're going to sit underneath the Eiffel Tower. I'm going to have a glass of wine. Like, it was, the visualization part was that crystal clear for me. And the reason that I bring that out is because it's super important, like getting to that finer detail of what it is that you want. And I got my dream. I attracted my soulmate. I got exactly what I asked for. I did get my dream trip to Paris. He basically whisked me off to the Champs-Elysees. Like, that wasn't even in my dream, but I got that. Like, this is the thing. You put out what you want and you end up getting even more than what you asked for. And I got the dream proposal there as well, which I was not expecting. And it was underneath not the Eiffel Tower, but it was the Arc de Triomphe. And the Arc
I don't know why, but I knew you was going to say the Arc de Triomphe. I was visualizing, because as you're talking about France, I've been to France, and you were talking. I'm like, I was going to say she's going to say the Arc de Triomphe. How weird is that? That's beautiful.
We're connected. The reason that I point that out is because I didn't realize at the time, but I've got this beautiful oil painting of the Arc de Triomphe that basically I had been looking at every single day. And you know, it's like understanding, like, we're really powerful. Like, what we're focusing on daily goes in, and it totally puts out that vibration. And when it's a match and you've been doing it for long enough, you truly can have anything that you want. So I am proud to be in an amazing relationship. I got my dream wedding as well. I always knew where I wanted to get married. But here's the thing, is like, I always thought that I wanted to get married in Venice. And when it came round to planning our wedding, Raymond was like, you just do whatever you want. It's entirely up to you. I'm there. I'm like, perfect. And when I looked into getting married in Venice, I actually realized that it didn't deliver what I wanted. And we ended up getting married in Sorrento, because Sorrento, it was still Italy, but it delivered what I wanted. And the reason that I'm pointing that out is that because people can get so hung up on, so for instance, when I talk to clients and say they're wanting their soulmate, they'll actually visualize a person. They've actually got a person in mind. And it's like, no, you want your focus over here, and it's what that person's qualities are, what you are going to do when you are together, all that lovely good feelings, not focusing on, oh, I want that person. Because here's the thing, it's like when I was booking Venice, I was like that, well, I can't get married outside, you know, they're still not doing this that I wanted outside. There was like so many things. But I just knew that I was then able to, the only two places that you could get married outside in Italy were Sorrento and Positano.
Both beautiful places. I've honestly, because of the cruise ship life, Venice is one of my favorite places in the entire world. And my wife is obsessed with Sorrento. Beautiful place. We went down to Sorrento. We went down on a trip one day. It was amazing. And even I was like, I get it. This is absolutely stunning. And when you talk about France, really, the funny thing about France is I was never a fan of France, and we got terrible service in Cannes, and we were always down in Cannes and someone else on the south coast of France. And whenever I took my family off and we would go for a restaurant, we got the worst service. So I just got this horrible feeling for France every time I went back. And I'm like, I'm not going here. I'm not getting off. I'm not going here at all. And then we had the opportunity to go to Paris. And I was pretty much as a child kicking and screaming as a man-child, because I'd be about 40-year-old, and I'm like, all right, we're going to Paris, whatever. I adored it from getting there and getting off, and it just completely changed my whole perspective on France. And I'm like, I absolutely love Paris. And you were talking about the Arc de Triomphe, the Champs-Élysées. It's just, and I'm visualizing being there, and I was like, Paris is one of the most beautiful places in the world. We got amazing service from everywhere we went, and I just didn't expect it because we got such terrible service in the south of France, where they didn't want tourists, they didn't want people. It was just like, why are you here? I'm like, well, we're on a holiday. It's horrible. Paris, completely different. So, as you sit there on this perch of, I got what I wanted in life, people are going to be listening, judgment's going to pop up, and they say, oh, well, you don't understand my story. Oh, it's all right, Amanda. Right, I'm doing that. That's where we're gonna go, Amanda, because people who are not resonating and they are down in that's what we do. We can only, and I know for a fact I can only help people that want to help. I can't help people that don't want to help if they're not ready to vibrate, if they're not ready to resonate, if they're not ready to look for those solutions. Now, the judgmental people, Amanda, who are tuning into this podcast because they're going to be listening, oh, let's find out what Amanda's got to say about these things. And right, there's going to be that little look. I work on Monkey Mind. That's my company, Monkey Mind Relaxation. I know you're laughing. What do you say to those people that are sitting there going, "What a smug bitch she is," right? Because she's got everything she wanted. Because you're not telling the story about where you were, Amanda. I know where I was before I started getting resonating, understanding vibrations. So, Amanda, let's take it back even further. Where were you, Amanda? Tell me.
Where was I? So I would regularly find myself alone on a Saturday night.
Yep.
Do you know, which is, and I used to hate coming home to an empty house, which is why I got a cat. That was my solution. So it helped raise my vibration, the fact that I had this cat so excited to see me when I come home. But yeah, Saturday nights used to be like traumatizing sometimes, because unless I made the effort to go and see somebody or have something in my diary, it was almost like a panic when I used to get to the end of the week and I'd look and go, oh, I've got nothing in the diary, and unless I went and done something, then I wouldn't see anybody until a Monday, until I went back to work again. So there was that panic, that constantly at that point thinking that everybody else was having a great time and I wasn't. Because there's that, and I used to then think as well, it's like, oh, it's all right for guys, because guys can go out to a bar or a club on their own, but if a girl goes and does something like that, you know, we look desperate. Again, another limiting belief. So while I was happy in certain respects, there was like loads of unhappiness. And then I used to think, well, I've not got the money to go out and do certain things that I want to do either. That's all right for other people.
Right, because I know you've been there.
Judgmental. It's very judgmental. We all are judgmental, but a lot of times we don't even realize that we're judging other people that we do. And again, that's through when you go on this journey of self-discovery. It's not easy taking yourself on, because sometimes, like when you look into the depths of what you have been thinking, you then actually start to see corners that you think, not my finest moment. But what it does do and I'm sure you'll agree with this, Cuddy, is that once you start personal development, it puts you 100% responsible in the driving seat for your life. You actually realize, no victim mentality. I am the creator of my own life. I am responsible for my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. And one of the things I regularly hear clients say, and I'm sure you'll be the same, Cuddy, is that, but they made me feel that. They made me do this. And you're like, well, actually, nobody's got that power.
Unless you give it away.
100%. And here's the flip side. It's like, well, if you're going to give people like the power and say, well, they made me feel this and they made me feel that for all the bad things that's happening in your life, then you better damn well give them the credit for all the good things that's going on in your life too. Because what makes a difference, eh? And
Absolutely.
it's that then that's the flip switch, eh? So when you take 100% responsibility for where you're at in your life, then you can start to change it. And it's very easy to look at other people and go, they've got it all figured out. But the more you do this stuff, you realize that everybody's got their own thing that they're working on. And it's up to us and whether we want to look at our stuff or we're going to sit there and judge everybody else and just think, oh, it's all right for them. But it's realizing it can be all right for you if you choose to do something about it. And it's investing in yourself with money and time, because
Yes.
you will, and I think like, a lot of people like, oh, well, I don't have the time. That's just another program that's running you. Because we all have
time, lack of money is anything. So I don't understand. It keeps them where they are 100%. I always, do you know what? Go back to the beginning of COVID. Because I changed my program, and if I hadn't got the program that I had, I genuinely had empathy for everyone. I'm like, do you know what? Mental health is going to take the biggest hit when COVID hit. Is that you were literally told every time you put the TV on, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. You literally were told you can't do this.
Yeah.
Rattled off 10 things. There was never anything on the news. There was never anything anywhere that said, actually, but you can do this, 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 and this, right? So everyone's mental health was going to take a massive hit. Of course, it was going to take a massive hit. It had to be, because if you've not been given the tools, and we always talk about this in previous podcasts when I'm talking to other coaches and things like that, they don't teach us mindset, understanding emotions, feelings as kids. I think it's becoming more and more a thing now to teach kids and stuff like that, I think, which is amazing because of benefits. But if you don't understand how, when something comes in, you have an option, and that's locus of control. 100% totally admiration for locus of control, understand internal and external locus of control and being accountable. So I love that. And you laughed when I said, for all those judgmental people that are listening and thinking, well, Amanda doesn't understand my story. There was a time when you would have maybe possibly said that, well, no one understands my story. Absolutely. So what was your tipping point? Not the game show at 4 o'clock on ITV. What was your tipping point? Everyone's got a pain point. And my pain point, I'm always very honest, was my wife said to me, whatever you're going through is starting to affect me. And I can't have that in my life. And it was tough love at its absolute finest. It was the biggest kick in the testicles I'd ever had, especially when I was on that pit of depression and desperation. I was like, do you know what? I didn't realize what I was going through was hurting somebody else who I loved. That was my tipping point. And I was like, I've got to get my shit together, straight up. So, Amanda, what was your tipping point? What was the pain point?
It's a really interesting question, Cuddy, because I've never really thought about it that way. Because all I can just remember, like I can't remember like an exact time or like any sort of instance. I just like all I can remember is, like I say, like going for my EFT, and it's not, I can't really remember. Like I say, I know it was really, really painful for me being alone on a Saturday night. And I also, like, one of my passions is dancing, and I was like, oh, I've got nobody to go dancing with. And do you know what? I can remember one of the things I did end up doing was to realise I ended up manifesting. Well, here's the thing. So I ended up having, I know where my tipping point was. So I went through a cancer operation, which would have been 2007, I think. So at that point, everything really started to change for me. So I had a lot of time to think. And I think when you've got a lot of time to think, you really start to analyse and go, right, okay, what do I really want? Where am I at? And what am I going to do to change it? And one of the things that I had promised myself when I had went through that, it was like that, I really wanted to go to Thailand. And basically what happened was after I had got through my cancer operation, like there was so much good came out of what you would think was a really bad time. I mean, obviously it's completely gone now. I'm fine. I'm really good. But I learned so much about myself. I then ended up doing other things to do with cancer charities for that, for massage and all the rest of it. There was a lot of good came from that, but it was also the turning point for me. So from there, like I ended up going on a detox and wellness retreat after it. And there, the girl that I ended up going with, she was like that, I want to go to Thailand too. So from there, I ended up going to Thailand for 6 weeks to do a Thai massage course because I was a therapist, and basically traveled around Thailand. But it was another pivotal moment for me because when I was in Thailand, I had made a decision, and that decision was no more Saturday nights on my own. I'm going to go home and I'm going to start dancing. I'm going to start taking salsa lessons. I do not need a partner to go dancing. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to find it and I'm going, and that's it. There'll no more like sitting on a Saturday night having a pity party. And it's really amazing how the universe opens up, or like, as you say, like manifestations start to happen. So I was at this detox and wellness center, and literally the next day they had 2 traveling salsa instructors put on a full day salsa workshop. Like it was like 5 hours long, and it was my first ever introduction to salsa, and it was outside in this outside studio that was just basically covered by lots of mosquito net, and like we were dancing until it was dark, and it was just like my soul was so happy, and I'm like, wow. And it's that it all starts with a decision. It's that decision of going, right, enough's enough and it's time to go and do. And I guess I hadn't really related it back to my cancer, I think because I've forgotten so much that I actually even went through that. It's so far removed from where I am. But yeah, that was actually the turning point, because at that point I was a girl who thought I was doing a lot of things right in terms of gratitude, certain ways of eating, all that kind of stuff. Whereas actually there was so much more that I could be doing, and that was the pivotal point for me. So thank you for pulling that out of me, Cuddy. That was a difficult question.
Honestly, I love the podcast, and I love what I do, and I love it. And I'm sure I was talking to some of my friends. We do a 7 a.m. club every morning to set up what is our intentions for his business and everything like that. And I always come from, I'm just doing another course at this moment in time to be a master NLP coach, master of the master NLP coach. And I love it. I adore NLP. So, and I was doing certain things with a different coach every week. And we always come away from the sessions that one of them's crying, and they're like, "What have you done, Cuddy?" I'm like, "I'm asking the questions that gets those things, the paradigms, the beliefs out. Prove them wrong, start living your best life." And I just, when you're talking, and I'm like, I'm going to start using this in my Facebook group, and I'm sure I'm going to let you have this as well if you want, especially for your future, for future advertising. You can't dance at a pity party for one. And I was just thinking, for Amanda, you can't dance at a pity party for one. So for my next 6-week coaching course that I do, I'm gonna have that as the tagline as well. You can't dance at a pity party for one. So if you don't want a pity party for one and you want to start dancing again, get on this course. It's a good one, right, Amanda? It's a good one.
You're welcome. It's all about giving, right?
Honestly, you've shared, and that's the biggest part. I always love, because I think we've all been sat there on that, especially with the Facebook adverts, and I don't think, oh my god, there's another coach, and you just, I understand that. I look at the comments when there's coaches out there advertising their courses, and I look at the comments from people that are not going to buy the course, but they feel that they need to comment on the advert, another charlatan advertising something. And I'm like, if only you just took off those glasses of judgment, took it away, and just see the value of what you're going to get from this. Just ask different questions of yourself, because they're the ones that you just see them, Amanda. I'm sure you see them as well. It's just like, when are you going to just get off that judgmental horse and start living your best life and not living in fear? So you are Kirkcaldy, right? You Kirkcaldy? Are you Kirkcaldy, or is it Dalgety?
Dalgety Bay.
Right. I knew you were in that area. I knew you were down the coast from me. So I do dipping. I come all the way up and down the coast. For anyone that wants to learn how to go dipping, I get them into the water. I coach them into the water, help them with their monkey mind and stuff like that. And I just think this is such a beautiful course that we have, and it's such a powerful thing for everyone around. Just stop living in fear. It's one of the hardest things to do, but it'll be one of the most beneficial things you'll ever do if you take off those judgmental glasses. So how much, let's bringing you forward to this Procter and Gallagher. Yeah,
can
please,
I say something?
Amanda, go. Absolutely.
I'm like, wait, didn't go forward yet. I just want to go back to what you were saying about the dipping. So that's one of the things that I took up during lockdown.
Yes.
So going back to, you were saying that during that time, which we were all bombarded with the things that we can't or we couldn't do. And again, if you go back to what you focus on expands, it's like that, right? Okay, so I know I can't do anything about that. So I just have to park that over there. My attention's going to go over here, and what can I do? So it was one of the things that I started was getting in the sea. Absolutely. And I went the first time by myself.
Wow, well done, fair play.
And it was a choppy day, and so I go to Aberdour, Cuddy. I've been various different places, but Aberdour is only, I'm very grateful to stay 10 minutes away in the car, and then you're in, and it's sand underneath as well. All these little things help for me. But it's like that's great that you actually help get people in, because like for me, like for anybody that's heard of Tony Robbins, like Tony Robbins was always like, right, I'm teaching my mind that when I say go, you go. There's like no hesitation. And I'm like, right, Tony, look at your Tony in my ears. I'm like, right, okay. So I'm teaching my mind, because I thought this is a mindset test getting in, because even just to get yourself to the edge, like even like, obviously you're not in a bathing suit, but when I'm taking my clothes off and coming down a bathing suit and it's like 0 degrees, your mind's going, what are you doing?
That's your monkey mind. You're preaching right now. You're preaching monkey mind, Amanda. I love it.
You're like, what are you doing? And you're overriding that program. You're all the time. You're just like that. No listening. And then just walking one foot in front of the other and not hesitating. And I would go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in, and go, and then focus on the breathing. But every time you come out, you feel like a ninja, because you're like, if I can do that,
what else can I do?
Exactly. So for a mindset training, because anytime that I put up on my social media after that, it's like being mindset training in the sea.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is Monkey Mind is back, because last year, I think by now I was on about day 80 of cold water exposure in a row. And now this year, because I haven't been as consistent, it's like those old like programs come back in. You're like, what are you doing? Blah, 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 blah.
It's true. No, it's true. I dip every day. I'm doing March is cancer research. I'm dipping every day for cancer research. Sponsored dips for raising as much money for cancer research. March is the coldest time of the year for water, which I find fascinating. And the warmest time of the year is October, which you just wouldn't think it would be that way, but it's how the heat. I love those kind of things. So if you want to come dipping, I went to Aberdour yesterday, believe it or not, and I got a guy in the water, Dougie Stewart.
Awesome.
Well done. He faced his fear and he got in the water. I didn't like Aberdour because it was low tide, and I'd read up about the sinking sand, and there was sinking sand. I'm like, nah, did not like it at all. Get out of the water. So I did dip, but not as long as normal. I'm leaving. I adore leaving and everything that leaving has to offer.
You have to go at the right tides, Cuddy. You've only got a 3-hour window. But I've made that mistake because I made the mistake of thinking this is where you can get complacent and think things are always going to be there. I turned up one morning because sometimes I just get the call to go and I think, just do it, just don't think about it, just do it. And then I turned up, like getting myself all psyched up, and I was like, no water. How does that work? Is it not meant to be here all the time?
Absolutely. That's
you learn a lot.
So why is personal growth so important to you?
Because I want to have full round success in every area of my life, and I want to keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible for me. So for instance, like my mindset is I'm going to be 49 in the summer, and I feel that
the over 47, if you don't mind my saying.
So gee, thanks. But my mindset is that my best years are ahead of me, not behind me. Mm-hmm. So like I actually feel as if I've not peaked yet. Like there's so much more for me that's coming out of me now, especially in the area that I'm in with helping others. And I just want to see what's possible for me, do you know, because I've got really, really big goals, more dreams. I got my dream with obviously having my soulmate and having this amazing relationship. I've now actually got the health that I want. I've actually released a lot of excess pounds that I've been struggling with for years. But I've got even like bigger goals. And the thing about goals is it's not about constantly being in a state of striving. It's about being really grateful for where you are, but also realizing that why you put goals out there is to allow you to grow and stretch.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're stagnating. Yeah. So you're either in a state of growth or you're in a state of decay. Because if you're not growing, I always use the analogy of a garden. So if you think about your mind as being a garden, and it's if you don't plant anything or you do nothing with it, it's not that it just sits like that, weeds start to grow. And I find that that's very true for, you know, when I see certain people, as they get older, they actually get either more nervous or less confident, or you know, things that they took in their stride when they were younger now are like a really big thing. And it's that if you're not actually training and working on your mind and your brain, all that negative self-talk gets basically on a choo-choo train that's just coasting along, and then all of a sudden it's full speed, you know, because everything's all that compound effect. So you're either compounding in a good direction or you start to compound and go in a lower direction. And the thing is, you get to choose, but a lot of people don't realize that. They'll maybe use that limiting belief, oh, it's just age. A great example of that is so one of the things that we do as a family, I'm very grateful. I've got a beautiful stepson, and he's brilliant, because like anything we say, he'll be like up for and he'll do. So one of the things that we do as a family is something called a ROM mode. So it's range of motion workout of the day. So it's basically all about stretching and mobilizing, and for all round health, it's the piece that people miss a lot of. So anyway, like we get the mats out in the living room, and Campbell is only 17. He's just turned 17. So for somebody that was thinking, right, okay, mobility, health is all down to like your age. So if you look at Raymond and I, because Raymond's in his early 50s, I'm getting closer to 50, and then you've got Campbell who's 17. We're all on the mat, and the person who's struggling the most is Campbell. Wow. So that just blows like your belief out of the water right there and then, because it's all about what you do. It's about what your mindset is. It's about your nutrition. It's like, are you stretching? Are you mobilizing? And he's been a really active child who has run about doing lots of football. Like he's been amazing. He wasn't one that was constantly solidified to a computer. I'm very grateful for that. But equally, he hasn't done enough for the stretching and the mobility stuff. So like he's got shortened muscles already that's causing him problems, and it's educating him. You can tell I've come from a therapist background. It's educating him that, you know, unless you do something about that now, you're only 17, that's going to continue to get worse unless you take the reins and do something about it now. But he's got amazing habits. But it's just that part really tickled me, because I thought there'd be many people sitting thinking, oh, you know, like either mobility issues, it's just because I'm getting older. It's not, it doesn't have to be your truth. You do have the power to change it and realize that that's just another limiting belief that you're carrying. Yeah,
absolutely. I love it. Like, it's so what I'm going to ask, I think this might be I'm waiting for the facial reaction on this question. So you have trained yourself to be positive. How do you cope with people, sometimes family, who are not on your vibration? My God, that's a clever question. If you don't mind my saying, I have just worded, how do you cope with negative people in your own family? Really, really professionally. So how do you deal with those situations when people are not at your vibration?
Well, the more that you study the mind and you understand the mind, the more it helps you understand other people. So you understand that all they are is just running their own programs. You actually see their programs so clearly. It stops you from taking things personally, because you realize actually it's not about you, it's about where they're at, and that's okay. And also to not be the fixer. You know, it's realizing that when the student's ready, the coach will appear, and realizing for some people that'll happen and for some people that never will, and it's been okay with that. And it's just notice yourself when you're then going into judgment and going, nope, it's changing. One of the things I love about it is like when you find yourself going into judgment. I've learned this a while ago from one of my mentors. So I've had loads of mentors throughout the years. My latter years, I've invested a lot in myself, and you know, I'm very, very grateful to everything I've learned along the way. But when you change your judgment to curiosity, so that, like, even just saying that, because judgment's harsh. And then when you lean into curiosity, like, how does that feel for you? So when things happen, when you start looking at it from instead of judgment and taking things personally, it's like, well, I wonder why they're being like that. I wonder what's going on for them. And that doesn't have to be from a family member. That can be somebody that cuts you up in traffic. That can be the shop assistant that's got, like, she's been sucking lemons all night. But all, you know, our dog's just died. You know, it's
true.
And if you change that to curiosity, and then if you can change it to giving, so if you can change your energy from curiosity, I wonder why they're like that. There's obviously something going on for them. What can I give in this moment to help make them feel better? It's a completely different place to come from. But here's the thing is, you've got to spend that time on you first. Because what happens, unless you're working through your own stuff, you're going to react instead of respond. So that takes a lot of mental training. Of being able, like, if you are a reactive person, if you are carrying lots of hurt, you're carrying lots of resentment, like, the more we deal with our own stuff, then we don't react to what's in front of us the same way. We end up responding, and we can look at things from a place of curiosity, from a place of love, and use it as an opportunity to try and give.
Nice. That was a cracking answer, Amanda. that was right on the money. Shivers. That's absolutely fantastic. So for the amount of listeners, why should they come and see you, Amanda?
I'm just going to add another piece to what I was saying there, is because something that I've found is been very powerful as well is because like visualization is huge. And a lot of times we can be visualizing what we don't want. Again, it's that where we put our focus. And if anybody is having any challenges, like it could be like going to work and they know that they maybe got somebody that they don't gel with, or like you say, it's that family member, especially like I was helping a lot of clients negotiate their way through Christmas, because Christmas isn't all that happy clappy adverts that you see on the television. For a lot of people, it can be quite stressful.
Yeah.
But one of the things I was getting people to do is like visualize, like actually visualize your perfect end result. Like sit with that. Like, how do you want it? Are you focusing on going, oh, they better not say this and see if they say this again? Or it's like, because how many times, like catch yourself, how many times you're then starting to like what you would call the monkey chatter. It's like you probably went over that scenario 100 million times of how you don't want it, or from the past. Like if you had to put that amount of energy into creating how you want it, you would be amazed at what then would happen. And it's not that you can change anybody else, but you 100% change the energy, and you actually change the trajectory of what then happens. And I've seen it happen to me. It's incredible on both angles, making things worse or making things better. And that's through like working on my mind, that like I've had all these things happen for myself and help other clients as well.
Yep. Absolutely fantastic. Amanda, thank you. And I mean that. Thank you. This was a lovely, lovely chat. I knew it was going to be. I absolutely 100% knew it was going to be a great chat.
Thank you. It's been
Not
amazing.
well,
I know we're talking the same language, Cuddy, and it's that deep-rooted like calling inside to go, well, I felt trapped. I felt lost. I was longing. And I've come out the other side and still continuing to grow and find new depths to myself. And you just, when you do that and you've done the growth and you're continuing in the work, you want it for everybody, especially those that you love, those that's in your inner circle, but not everybody's at that place. And it's realizing that that's okay. But you just want to help as many people as you can and go, listen, you do not need to be living the way that you're living. There is more for you. There's so much more for you if you would just get your one part of your mind open that I can work with.
Perfect. Amanda, thank you. And hi to your lovely husband as well, because I did a podcast with him a couple of weeks ago. That's why we got the introduction.
I know, it's an incredible man. I am super grateful for him every single day.
Brilliant. And I'm sure his feelings are reciprocated on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. This was so much more than manifestation and mindset. This was a blessed chat. It really was.
Thank you for creating this space for us to get honestly, that chat in.
I love stories. Probably because of the books that I've read, but when you're reading books and you're reading other people's stories, but to have those chats and conversations with someone we've never met, who's 30 minutes down the road, and especially being Procter & Gallagher, because I know how huge Procter & Gallagher is, and I know the investment in Procter & Gallagher and the investment in yourself, and that's a major commitment that you've created for yourself that you can create for others, and that's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful, Amanda. So absolutely, thank you so much. And I can't wait to be on your podcast when you invite me.
Absolutely. I'll get a date off you after this.
Absolutely love talking about Monkey Mind. It's all the same. It's the chatter, it's the programming, it's focus, it's the paradigms that we have. 100%. I love it. I love talking about it. I love sharing. I love being the one that's hopefully going to turn that light on as others have turned on the light for me. So that's why I do the podcasts. Thank you so much. Amanda, thank you very much. Stay there for a second as I dial out on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into another beautiful podcast. There's more to come. I'm going to get some guests on to talk about dipping, because I love it. And I want to talk about dipping. I want to get everybody dipping. My goal is to get more people dipping this year, Amanda. It really is. Awesome. The goal with Monkey Mind relaxation isn't to control your thoughts and emotions. It's to not let your thoughts and emotions control you. Chatter About the Chatter is a live radio show as well at Men's Radio Station. And as always, I am your host, Cuddy Cudworth, Mind Management Coach extraordinaire. Cough, cough. You are always more than welcome to get in contact with myself or Amanda. Amanda, how do we get in contact with you, my love? Have you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page? How do we, some of the listeners are going to think, Amanda is the lady for me. Who do I need to speak to?
So I've got a private group, a Facebook page called Success Academy, and I've also got a website that's just in the process of getting launched on Friday called rewiremybrain.com.
Perfect. Love it. I'll put that in the links. As always, you know the score, ladies and gentlemen. Big love from Cuddy, and I'm sure Amanda's thinking absolutely big love from Amanda as well. But it is a hashtag. Big love from Cuddy. Do your best, have a smile, and just make it happen. It's possible for everybody. Have a fantastic week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.